Hey my loves! As you probably already know, cauliflower has taken the food world by storm, becoming one of the trendiest foods you can eat right now. And it's really no wonder. It is loaded with nutrients like vitamin C, vitamin K, folate, and it's a low-carb alternative to things like rice or bread. So today I wanted to pay homage to this amazing vegetable by showing you 3 delicious ways to prepare it that I think you guys are going to love. Today I'm going to show you some incredibly delicious crispy cauliflower bites. Then I'm going to show you a really tasty cauliflower pizza crust that you won't believe until you try it. And finally, I am going to be whipping up a whole roasted cauliflower smothered in delicious mushroom gravy, a vegan main dish that you can feel really good about. So without further ado, I'm going to show you a really tasty recipe for crispy cauliflower bites. I'm going to be making a nice honey garlic sauce to complement these bites, but the cool part is they can really be enjoyed with any kind of sauce you love. You could do a General Tso sauce, you could do like a buffalo chicken sauce. These are super versatile, so use your imagination. We're basically taking an entire head of cauliflower and cutting it into florets. Then we are going to beat up a few eggs. Finally, I've got a nice big bowl of panko breadcrumbs. Now, if you're not familiar with panko breadcrumbs, they're a Japanese version of breadcrumbs. They're really crispy, which is why I sometimes prefer them over traditional breadcrumbs. But if traditional breadcrumbs is all you have on hand, not to worry, those will also work in this recipe. Next, we are going to get dredging. We are just going to get our cauliflower in our egg mixture and then top it with all of this goodness. I'm gonna make sure you get lots of yummy panko all the way around, and then you can just transfer it to your baking sheet. Now, a lot of you have recommended in the comments doing this with one hand so you keep your other hand clean, and I kind of love that idea, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. Once you've got the whole baking sheet full of all that goodness, you can pop them in the oven at 400 degrees for between 15 and 20 minutes, flipping them once so they get golden on all sides. These crispy cauliflower bites are just calling out for whatever kind of flavor you can think of. As I mentioned, the flavor star of today's show is actually my really simple honey garlic sauce. So I've got a small saucepan on my stove and a whole lot of honey happening in there. To that, I'm going to add some minced garlic, a little bit of soy sauce, and then I'm going to create a cornstarch slurry by just mixing some cornstarch and some water. The idea here is the cornstarch is gonna help this sauce thicken up and help coat those amazing cauliflower bites. I'm just gonna whisk this all together over medium heat and then let it simmer for 2 or 3 minutes. You'll see it start to thicken up almost immediately. And then when it is time to pour, you will get all the oohs and ahs from your audience because it will be delicious. Ooey, gooey, drippy, sticky sweetness, amazing. Next up, I'm sharing a recipe that I have wanted to try forever, a cauliflower pizza crust. Now, I will fully admit that I was a huge skeptic when I first heard about this recipe and had to try it for myself. I must tell you, it turned out incredibly well and is a lot easier to make than I actually thought it would be. It all starts, of course, with a nice big head of cauliflower that I've cut into florets. I'm just gonna pop those florets into my food processor and then I'm gonna pulse them until they become about the size of rice or couscous. The idea is that we're going to pulse it and then steam it, and that will make it much easier to work with for our crust. Next, I'm going to put it in a saucepan, add about an inch of water, and let it steam for 3 or 4 minutes or until it softens up. Now, you could do this with a steamer basket if you wanted to, but I'm just lazy and didn't want to have an extra dish to deal with, so I put it right in with the water. And then to strain all of this out, I'm actually using a strainer on the bottom and a dishcloth. We're gonna wring out all that moisture. It's really important you remove as much moisture as possible because in this case, the flour for our pizza dough is actually the cauliflower. So you want it to be really dry. And I just find the best way to do that is to take your dish towel and squeeze with all your might. You wanna really be careful not to strain yourself here. And what you end up with is this nice steamed cauliflower. Most of the moisture has been removed. We're just gonna transfer it into a bowl and mix in the rest of our fixins. Now, the glue that holds this dough together is actually a combination of mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese, and 1 egg. Then you can season your cauliflower crust really however you want to. In this case, I'm using some Italian seasoning and a little salt and pepper to give it a little more flavor. I'm gonna stir all of that together until it's well combined. And then you can just turn it out onto a parchment lined baking sheet and create a circle for your pizza. Parchment is critical here because of course this is going to want to stick like mad. I like to flatten this out and just create a little ridge. That is how we are going to capture all of our amazing toppings when it's time. Once your pizza crust has been created, you can put it in the oven at 400 degrees for between 15 and 20 minutes. What you're looking to do here is get a slightly golden color happening, and then you have the option to top it really however you want to. In this case though, I wanted to try this rainbow pizza idea I've seen online a bunch of times. So I top mine with a little bit of tomato sauce. Then I'm going to top this with a layer of mozzarella. That's gonna be the glue that helps all of my toppings stick. Then I worked in circles with some chopped broccoli, some tomatoes, some orange bell peppers, a little bit of sweet corn, and some finely chopped red onion. How pretty does this look? Into the oven this goes for between 5 and 10 minutes, just until those toppings get nice and tender, and then it is ready to be enjoyed. You guys will not believe the texture of this incredible crust. It's chewy, but it holds together really, really well the way you would expect a crust to. This crust came together a lot more easily than I would have ever expected. Really a pizza cake, if you ask me. You guys have been complaining about the sheer lack of puns in the videos recently. I was a little sick when I shot the last few videos, so there weren't as many great puns in those, but we have decided to amp up our pun game. We may have gotten a little carried away through this video. If so, I apologize. I think it's pretty safe to say that our performance last week was a little punderwhelming. Finally today, we are making a super tasty whole roasted cauliflower smothered in an incredibly creamy mushroom gravy. There is nothing not to love about this, so let's get started. I've got a nice whole head of cauliflower here. I'm simply going to run a paring knife along the inside edge to remove the core and the excess leaves. Next, I am going to place my head of cauliflower upright in a baking dish and drizzle on a good helping of oil. This is going to help our cauliflower get nice and crispy and tender during the baking process. Now, the greatest part about a whole roasted cauliflower is that you can really season it any way you want. You could use some curry spices, that would be amazing. Cajun spice, Greek spice, Italian seasoning, all of those would be incredible. It's really, really versatile. But today I'm keeping things simple with a little bit of garlic powder, some salt, and some pepper. And the reason is because a lot of the flavor is actually going to come from my incredible mushroom gravy that I'm going to show you in a minute. Once our cauliflower is seasoned up, we are going to wrap it in some tin foil and put it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, we are going to remove the tin foil and let it bake for another 20 to 30 minutes. Now you'll know it's done when you're able to stick a knife in it and you can feel that it's nice and tender. It will also be pretty and golden on the outside, and that is always a good sign that maximum flavor has developed. In the meantime, while your cauliflower is roasting away, you can get started on your mushroom gravy. Now this is a really simple recipe, but is uber flavorful thanks to things like fresh thyme leaves and a little bit of soy sauce. So I've got a skillet with some oil heating up over the stove, and I'm going to mix two of my very favorite things, some diced onion and some sliced mushrooms. I'm just gonna season those with some salt and some pepper and saute them until those mushrooms have softened up about 5 or 6 minutes. It's a lot of deliciousness in one skillet, if you ask me. And then I'm going to add about a tablespoon of flour. Now the flour is really going to help thicken up that gravy, but we wanna cook off the floury flavor first. So we're gonna let that cook for about a minute or so, stirring it constantly. Next, we are going to add our broth. In this case, I am using a really flavorful mushroom broth, but if you have trouble finding mushroom broth where you're from, no problem at all. You can also do this with some vegetable broth. I'm also adding some soy sauce and some thyme leaves. We love when there's time in our recipes because it really saves us a lot of time when we're coming up with our puns. You're gonna let it simmer for 2 or 3 minutes or until it thickens up, and it is ready to just absolutely cover your amazing roasted cauliflower. And good gravy, what you end up with is a vegan main dish you can feel real good about. I hope you will give all of these incredible cauliflower ideas a try, and if you do, be sure to tweet me, Instagram me, or Snapchat me a photo because I love seeing your kitchen creations. Also, if there are any other veggies you'd like to see featured on the show, leave those in the comment section below because, of course, your suggestions are definitely the inspiration for this entire YouTube channel. Finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe because there is lots more deliciousness where this came from. And puns. A lot of deliciousness, a lot of puns.